So I'm going to start, and I am not going to leave as much thread as you would leave because you're going to probably make your fringe with some thread that's going to be on this side. So I would take half of the amount of thread that you have, and you're going to start kind of like from the middle. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start and only leave myself a little tail just because I'm going to add I'm using big string and big beads, so it'll be too much thread if I do that. So I'm going to add a separate amount of thread for the fringe. So I'm going to start, and I'm not going to be using the exact same colors as you just because I don't have them. So in this instance, I'm going to use some black instead of brown. And so I start with 2, but then it's another set of 2. So we're doing like the base, we're going to be doing a ladder stitch. So I take 2, then I just take 4 like this. And then I go through my first 2 that I added. So the 2 that are closest to me. And I always like to bead away from me. So I'll talk about away from me and towards me, or up and down. So I'm going away from me. And what that does, I pull, and now my beads will lie side by side. So I'm always going to hold my project with my left hand, and you'll see that I'm going to rarely let it go, because when you let go of a project, especially when you're at the beginning, it's kind of like wobbly. So I've added these beads, and now I have to secure them. So I'll do that by going through these 2 here. And I noticed that for your earrings, it's all a bunch of sets of 2. So we're always going to kind of be adding 2. So we have the brown, and then you have some red. So we're going to add 2. And we're going to follow the thread. So when I say follow the thread, we see that the thread is coming down here. So I'm going to take my needle and go in the same direction as the thread. So come down here, and I'm holding them tightly so that they don't get all wobbly. So I've added them, and now I want to secure them. So I'm going to secure them by going in the other direction. So now I'll be going up. And for your earrings, it's like 2 sets of 2. So another set of red, and then I'm going to follow my thread. So it's going up. So I'm going to go up as well. Now I don't have 2 sets of 2 colors of red, so I'll be using some yellow. Oops. So I did not secure them. So I added these red. Now I need to secure them. Now I'm adding some yellow instead of the other color of red. I add them by following the thread, and pull to tighten, and then secure them by going up. Now my second set, I'm going to follow the thread. So since the thread is coming up here, I'm going to follow it. And then I secure them by going down through them. So securing them is always the opposite direction of what adding them is. So if adding, you have to go up, that means securing them, you have to go down. So, and to tighten, you hold your project and you pull on your thread. So you pull either up or down, depending. Now I'm going to add my next color. Now I don't have orange, so I'm going to be using white here for orange. So my thread is coming down, so I'll go down. And then I secure them by going up through them. Then I add my second set. So since my thread's coming up, I go up. And then I secure them by going down through them. And now for these earrings that you showed me, there's one more row here, and it is white, but since I just used white, I don't want to use white again. I suppose I could. I'm just going to use white again. It won't be that big of a deal because then they kind of go away after this one row. So I'm going to add them by following my thread, which is coming down. And then securing them by going up. So There we go. Now we have our base for our earrings. And so for you, you'd have this be much, much longer if you want to use this to make your fringe. So now I'm going to be, since I'm up on this side, I'm going to be working this way. So for your earrings, this set of white kind of goes away and then it's orange. So normally you would add 2 at a time for your earring, but on the first stitch of these earrings, when you do brick stitch, you add double the amount. So in our case, since we normally will add 2 each time, we're going to add 4. And how do we add them? Well, I'm just going to flip this up a little bit and you can see there's thread here that are connecting these beads with these beads. That's called a thread bridge. So normally you will be just working on the next thread bridge, but here, when we start our row, we don't start on the first thread bridge, we start on the second one. So I'm going to be taking not 2 sets, so not 2, but I'm going to be taking 4 for the first stitch of a next new row. So I skip this thread bridge and I work on the second one. So I go under the thread bridge and then I pull. And it could be wonky at first. Hold your project, it's okay. And then sometimes you have to place the beads. So they should kind of stand like this. And now we're not going to go under the thread again, but we're only going to go under the bead, in through the beads. So the last 2 beads here, I go through them. For you, they'll be orange. For me, they're white. And I pull, and then what happens is the beads will kind of go where they're supposed to. There you go. It can be a little bit wonky at first. That's okay. There we go. It's wonky for me too. Then, so now we have our first 2. Now we're going to be imitating this pattern for the rest. But instead of adding 4, we're going to be adding 2 each time. So now we have our 2. For me, it's yellow. For you, it's bright red. So we add 2. We go under the thread bridge, as you can see. And then we go up through the beads. Both of them, like that. And if the beads fly off, it's because you went back under the thread bridge. That's what happens. Now we have another set of yellow. So we take 2 yellow beads. We go under the thread bridge right here. Pull. And then up through our beads. Like this. And you'll notice that the more you do, the tighter it becomes, and that's good. Now we're done with our yellow. For you, it would be the red. Now we're doing with the dark red. So take 2, go under the next thread bridge. And then up through the beads, like this. And pull. And then again, 2 beads, the next thread bridge, right here. Pull. And then through the beads, like this, and pull. Obviously, you is going to be much smaller. These are big beads. Now I'm done with the red. Now I'll be doing the black. For you, it's brown instead of black. Take 2 beads under the thread bridge. And you'll notice these here, it's loose a bit. That's okay. It'll become less loose as I work. Under the thread bridge and then up through the beads. Like this. Oops. And then my last one. So take 2 under the thread bridge. And then up through the beads. And now I'll be working, for me it's black, but for you it's on the brown side. There we go, make sure everything's nice and tight. So now I like to flip my project because I always like to work in the same direction. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. So now, since I'm starting a new row, I don't only take 2, I double it. So I'll take 4. And in this case, it's for you, it's brown. For me, it's black. So I'm going to take 4 black ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't use the first thread bridge. I use the second one. So when you start a new row, you skip the first thread bridge. And there's a really good reason for that. It's because otherwise your thread will show. So then you, right? It's like, for me too, it's wonky at first. That's okay. And then you go up through the last 2 beads that I added. Like this. Whoops. Drop your needle. So up through those 2 beads, like that. And pull. Hold your project and pull. And there you go. Your beads will. Sometimes you have to just coax them to go in the right spot. That's okay. There you go. Now we're done. For you, it's brown. For me, it's black. Now I'm going to go do the red ones. So I don't take 4, but I take 2 now. 2, and I do the next thread bridge. Go under the thread bridge, and then up through my beads. And you're going to continue doing this all the way up your earring. So up through the beads, pull, make sure it's nice and tight. 2 more red. Under the thread bridge, and then up through my beads. Like that. Now it's yellow. 2 more. And then up through my beads. For you, yellow is a different version of red. That's okay. It could be whatever color you want. And then under my thread bridge. And then up through my beads. And then now for me it's white, for you it's orange. 2 more beads. And under the thread bridge. And up through my beads. I'm going to make a separate video for the fringe just because I don't want it to be a million years long. But that's okay. There we go. Then I like to flip it so that I'm always kind of working in the same direction. That's okay if you don't want to, like this. And so here I notice that I'm at the last row of, for you it's orange. So now I'm going to be with the yellow. So since it's the first one on this row, I take double the amount. So I take 4 instead of 2. And I don't go under the first thread bridge, I go under the second one. Like this. Then I go up through the last 2 beads. Like this. Make sure these are being where they need to be. It's okay if they're not. They will go into place. There we go. Pull nice and tight. Now we're working with the red. Take 2. Go under the next thread bridge. And then up through the beads. Take 2 more red. Under the thread bridge. Oops. If that happens, so here my thread just got caught, just move it. It's okay. And then up through the beads. Oh, got caught on my finger. No problem. There we go. And now the black ones. Under the thread bridge. Oh. My nails. And up through the beads. Oops. That happens. You just unhook it. And now my last 2 black ones for this row. Oops, took 3. Under the thread bridge. And up through the beads. It's not always true that you're adding 2 every time, but for these earrings, it is. Then I like to flip my project so that I'm always working in the same direction. I'm going to take not 2 black ones, but 4 black ones because it's the first stitch on this row. And I don't go under the first thread bridge, I go under the second. And you see the beads are already starting to listen to me more. Go up through my beads. There we go, place them a little bit. Now I'm working with the reds. Take 2 under the next thread bridge. Up through my beads. Then 2 more red. under the thread bridge, up through my beads. Oops. And then for me it's yellow, for you it's a different color of red, under the next thread bridge, and up through my beads. We're almost done. Doesn't take too long. Here we go. Now I flip it. Now I should only have red and black, for you red and brown. So I'm going to take, since it's a new stitch on this row, I'm going to take double the amount. So not 2 red, but 4 red. I don't go under the first thread bridge, I go under the second. And then up through my last 2. So it's always the same except for the first stitch on a row. You always do double. And that's always true. So if you were working with 1 bead at a time for the first stitch, you would put 2. Since we're working with 2, we have to double it, put 4. If you were working with 3, you would put 6. So it's always doubling for the first stitch. And then 2 black. For you it's brown, under the next thread bridge. And then up through the beads. And then 2 more under the next thread bridge and up through the beads. There we go. Sometimes you need to replace them. That's okay. We're almost done. So for your design, for me it's black, but for you it's the brown ones. They go all the way up. So I'm actually going to take 4. Since it's a new one, I take 4 black ones. I don't go under the first thread bridge, but the second one. Then up through the last 2 beads. And then I have a row of red. Take 2, the next thread bridge, and up through my 2 beads. Oops. There we go. And then now we are getting to the place where you would be putting your earring part. So it's our last set. So we take 4 again because it's our first stitch, but it's going to be the only stitch. So we skip a thread bridge, we go on the second one. Place these guys, go up through our beads. And so I don't exactly remember for your earring how they do it. For me, when I'm making earrings, I will often add 5, but you can add as many beads as you want here. Some people don't add any beads at all, and they just put the earring loop like through this hole here. But I will often add 5 or 3. It's often an odd number, and you'll see why. So I'll add 5, and I'll just use white so that you can see. So I'll add them, and this will be the loop that the earring part goes in. So I go in through these beads now, go under the thread bridge, and then I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to also go through these beads here, the ones that are going to be like my earring loop, and then back down, and I go back down through those 2 like that. And what you're doing here now is you're going to make this strong. And so this here is going to make the loop where my earring hook goes into the gold part or whatever you're putting to attach to your ear. That goes in this hole here. And now the thread that's left over here, you want to weave it in your earring. I like to use it to attach these bits that like don't want to listen. So what I'll do is I'll go down through this part here. And like you can do this however you want. Some people will tie a knot here. I don't like putting knots in my work. So what I'll do instead is weave my thread in a way that makes it, I don't have to put knots. So I'll go here and then I'll go down in the inside one. And you'll see what it'll do to my beads that are there, that they were sticking out, and they're just gonna kind of like come in and they're gonna listen now. So like that. And then sometimes I will go up So when you're doing that, you're creating tension and then you don't have to make knots, which is really good. So I will continue weaving. Now I'm going to go down and I'm going to go down again. And then now this guy's listening. It's going to go like into place. So you can just go up and down in your beads, but you don't want to do it too much because your beads don't have a ton of place inside of them because they're little. So you want to do it enough that there's tension, but you don't want to do it too much where you're just like going back and forth through the same beads over and over again. You know what I mean? So here you see me doing it just to make sure that the beads are listening. So sometimes I go up, sometimes I go down. But if you're not comfortable doing that, you can just tie a knot. You just want to make sure that your knot is tiny. So make a tiny little knot and then like pull the thread through some beads so that it doesn't show. So that's how you do this part. I'm going to stop the video here because it's 21 minutes long. And then I'm going to show you how to make the fringe. The fringe is really easy. So I'm just going to cut this thread.